Bro, penis. Sex funny.
Princess Vera Konstantinovna of Russia.
From Wikipedia, the free encyclopedia.
Not to be confused with Grand Duchess Vera Konstantinova of Russia. Princess Vera Konstantinovna of Russia, also Vera Konstantinovna, Russian, no, 24th of April 1906 to the 11th of January 2001, was the youngest child of Grand Duke Konstantin Konstantinovich of Russia and his wife Grand Duchess Elizabeth Mavrikyevna, a great-granddaughter of Tsar Nicholas I of Russia. She was born in the Russian Empire and was a childhood playmate of the younger children of Emperor Nicholas II of Russia. She lost much of her family during World War I and the Russian Revolution. At age 12, she escaped revolutionary Russia, fleeing with her mother and brother George to Sweden. She spent the rest of her long life in exile, first in Western Europe and from the 1950s in the United States. Contents: 1 early life, 2 revolution, 3 exile, 4 last years, 5 honors, 6 ancestors, 7 notes, 8 bibliography, 9 external links. Princess Vera Konstantinovna. Born 24th of April 1906, Pavlovsk Palace, Pavlovsk, Pushkinsky District, St. Petersburg, Empire of Russia. Died 11th of January 2001, aged 94, in Nyack, Orangetown, Rockland County, New York, United States of America. Full name: Vera Konstantinovna Romanova, House Romanov, father Grand Duke Konstantin Konstantinovich of Russia, mother Princess Elizabeth of Saxe-Altenburg. Early life. Princess Vera Konstantinovna of Russia was born at Pavlovsk on the 21st of April 1906. She was the youngest child among the 9 children of Grand Duke Konstantin Konstantinovich of Russia and his wife Grand Duchess Elizabeth Mavrikyevna, born Princess Elizabeth of Saxe-Altenburg. She was going to be named Marianne in honor of her mother's favorite sister, Princess Marie-Anne of Saxe-Altenburg, but her paternal aunt, Grand Duchess Vera Konstantinovna of Russia, insisted that her niece should be named after her. Her godparents were her brother Prince Konstantin Konstantinovich of Russia and Empress Alexandra Fyodorovna. Vera Konstantinova spent her first years in fabulous splendor during the last period of Imperial Russia. Her father, a respected poet, was her first cousin was removed of Tsar Nicholas II. Princess Vera was 8 years old when Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria was assassinated and World War I broke out in the summer of 1914. Vera was with her parents and her brother George in Germany, visiting her maternal relatives in Altenburg at the start of the war. The conflict took them by surprise, trapping them in Germany, an enemy country. It was thanks to the intervention of the German Empress Augusta Victoria of Schleswig-Holstein that they were allowed to return to Russia. Vera's older siblings joined the Russian army in the military effort, and her favorite brother Oleg was killed in action. She was considered too young and was not allowed to attend her brother's funeral. Her brother's death was just the first of many family misfortunes. The following year, her father died of a heart attack in her presence. In a letter to her brother, she later described how she was sitting with her father in his study when Grand Duke Konstantin Konstantinovich began gasping. Princess Vera managed to push open a heavy door between her parents' studies, pushing aside several heavy plants. They stood in front of the door and ran to her mother, crying that her father couldn't breathe. Her mother ran after her, but the Grand Duke had already died. Princess Vera of Konstantinovna of Russia, circa 1914 to 17. Revolution. After the death of her father in 1916, Vera moved with her mother and her brother George to the Marble Palace in Petrograd, leaving Pavlovsk to her eldest brother, Prince Ivan Konstantinovich. During the chaotic rule of the professional government and after the October revolutions, Princess Vera, her mother, and her brother George remained at Pavlovsk. For a time they lived a precarious existence, and her mother was forced to secretly sell family heirlooms to provide for the family. They stayed in the palace until the summer of 1918, when the revolution forced them to leave it and to take to an apartment in the city. During the Russian Revolution, 4 of Vera's brothers were imprisoned by the Bolsheviks. Only Prince Gabriel was eventually released. 3 of her brothers, Ivan, Konstantin, and Igor, were killed at Alapavsk, along with other Romanov relatives, in July 1918. Initially, Grand Duchess Elizabeth Mavrikyevna was reluctant to leave Russia, remembering her late husband's words, that if Russia was in need, it was Romanov's duty to help. However, with their situation becoming increasingly dangerous, she accepted an offer made by her friend Queen Victoria of Sweden through the Swedish ambassador Edvard Brännström to travel to Sweden. From Kronstadt, 12-year-old Princess Vera escaped to Sweden aboard the Swedish vessel Ångermanland in October 1918 with her mother. Her brother George and her young nephews Prince Teimuras Konstantinovich and Prince Vsevolod Ivanovich of Russia, and nieces Princess Natalia Konstantinovna Bagration Mokransky and Princess Catherine Ivanovna of Russia. And they were permitted by the Bolsheviks to be taken by ship to Sweden, via Tallinn to Helsinki, and via Mariehamn to Stockholm, at the invitation of Queen Victoria of Sweden. At Stockholm Harbour, they met Prince Gustav Adolf, who took them to the royal palace. Later, Vsevolod and her Catherine were able to reunite with mother. Left to right, back row, Princess Tatiana, Prince Gabriel, Prince Ivan, Grand Duchess Elizabeth Mavrikyevna, and the Grand Duke Konstantinovich. Front row, Princess Vera, Prince George, Prince Igor, Prince Oleg, and Prince Constantine, 1911. Exile. Princess Vera lived... Wait, how long have we known for? 5 minutes away. Princess Vera lived with her mother and her brother George for the next 2 years in Sweden, first in Stockholm and then in Saltsjöbaden. Sweden proved too expensive to live in. Elizabeth Mavrikyevna was delivered to Albert I of Belgium, asking him to allow them to move to his country. In 1920, they relocated to Brussels, where they were frequently ill. In 1922, Vera's uncle, Duke Ernest II of Saxe-Altenburg, invited them to move to Germany. Elizabeth Mavrikyevna settled in the ancestral castle of her family near Leipzig, in the small town of Altenburg. Princess Vera followed her mother half a year later, spending time in Oberstdorf in the Allgäu region of the Bavarian Alps, recuperating from tuberculosis. Her mother died of cancer on the 24th of March 1927 in Leipzig, left alone without sufficient means of subsistence. Vera Konstantinovna moved to Bavaria with friends, and shortly after relocated to London with her brother George. When 2 years later George moved to the United States, she returned to Altenburg. Princess Vera lived there for 30 years. Prince George died in New York City in 1938. Princess Vera lived in Germany through the difficult years of World War II. During the war, she worked as a translator and account for prisoners of war, but German officials soon removed her from the position because she had tried to help follow prisoners. For many years later, as she later recalled, she was haunted by the events of the revolution. I used to have the same dream, as if I stood with my back to a pit and they were going to shoot me. My awakening was not less terrible than the dream itself, because I was constantly afraid to open my eyes to see that they had really come to take me to the execution. On the sofa, Princess Tatiana, with her children Teimuras and Natalie Bagration Mokransky, and Grand Duchess Elizaveta Mavrikyevna. On the floor, Prince George and Princess Vera, Brussels, 1921. At the end of World War II in early 1945, American troops arrived in Altenburg on hearing that, according to the Potsdam Conference, Altenburg was going to be part of the zone of Soviet occupation. Princess Vera fled on foot. With her cousin, Prince Ernst Friedrich Saxe-Altenburg, she had to walk 240 kilometers in 12 days, fleeing the advanced Soviet troops. Once safe, Princess Vera settled in Hamburg on the 5th of January 1946. Until 1949, she worked as a translator at the British brand of the Red Cross and later in the DP Medical Center. When this one was closed, she worked at the reception in another British institution. She belonged to no country, as she only had an ambiguous Nansen passport, which gave her the ability to travel but no protections of statehood. Despite this, she refused to take the protection offered by her by various European countries, considering herself Russian. I didn't leave Russia, she once declared. Russia left me. Last years. In 1951, she moved to the United States, where her main activity was to work for the Tolstoy Foundation, which provided aid to Russians in need. For the next decades, she lived in New York and was very active in charities. In November 1952, Vera Konstantinovna became involved in the work of the Russian Children's Welfare Society, where she continued her work there until 1969. At the same time, she volunteered at the Fund of Assistance to the Russian Orthodox Church outside Russia. She retired in April 1971. She regarded some of the émigré community and some of their pretensions with skepticism. She did not have the nostalgic ideal of many émigrés, but rather the memories of her childhood and her lost family. The constant stream of visitors she regarded with some amusement and found rather trying. She did not care... Where the fuck am I? She did not care for those who speak in awestruck tones of the late imperial family. She would often relate stories of their humaneness and misbehavior. For her, the children of the last Tsar remained her childhood playmates, not distant figures for adoration. She also regarded the canonization of the Romanovs, including her brother and uncle, as a puzzling, peculiar move by the church. Princess Vera wrote 4 short articles about her life for a magazine, Kadetskaya Pereklivka, published by the Union of the Russian Cadets in New York in 1972. Princess Vera retained a certain aura of living history, being the last surviving member of the Romanov family who could remember Imperial Russia. Her 2 brothers and the sister who managed to escape Russia all predeceased her. Prince Gabriel died in 1955, leaving them heirs, as did her brother Prince George, the victim of an early death at the age of 33 in 1938. Her sister, Princess Tatiana, eventually took holy orders and became an Orthodox nun. She died in Jerusalem in 1979. Princess Vera died at the Tolstoy Foundation's elderly care home in Valley Cottage, New York, on the 11th of January 2001 at the age of 95. She was buried next to her brother Prince Georgy Konstantinovich at the cemetery of the Russian Orthodox monastery of Novodivevo in Nanuet, New York. Of all the members of the Romanov family in Imperial Russia, only her niece Princess Catherine Ivanovna outlived her. Princess Vera never married and left no children. In the spring of 2007, the Pavlovsk Palace, where she was born, held an exhibit about her and her family, commemorating what would have been her 101st birthday. Princess Vera Konstantinova in the 1970s. Honors: House of Romanov, Imperial Order of St. Catherine, First Class. Ancestors: oh, okay. 1. Princess Vera Konstantinovna of Russia. 2. Grand Duke Konstantin Konstantinovich of Russia. 3. Princess Elizabeth of Saxe-Altenburg. 4. Grand Duke Konstantin Nikolaevich of Russia. 5. Princess Alexandra of Saxe-Altenburg. 6. Prince Moritz of Saxe-Altenburg. 7. Princess Augusta of Saxe-Meiningen. 8. Emperor Nicholas of Russia, Emperor Nicholas I of Russia. 9. Princess Charlotte of Prussia. 10. Joseph, Duke of Saxe-Altenburg. 11. Duchess Amelia of Württemberg. 12. George, Duke of Saxe-Altenburg. 13. Prince Mary of Mecklenburg-Schwerin. 14. Bernard II, Duke of Saxe-Meiningen. 15. Prince Mary Frederica of Hesse-Kassel. Notes: King Wilson, Gilded Prism, page 132. 2. Vera Konstantinova, Kadetskaya Pereklivka. 3. King and Wilson, Gilded Prism, page 154. 4. Zipvat Charlotte, The Camera and the Tsars, page 185. 5. King and Wilson, Gilded Prism, page 164. 6. King and Wilson, Gilded Prism, page 197. King and Wilson, Gilded Prison, page 191. 8. Archived copy, archived from the original on the 13th of March 2002, retrieved the 25th of June 2017. Bibliography: King, Greg, and Penny Wilson, Gilded Prison, Eurohistory 2006, ISBN 0-9771961-4-3. Zipovat Charlotte, The Camera and the Tsars, Sutton Publishing 2004, ISBN 0-7509-3049-7. Exhibition Catalog, Princess Vera Konstantinova, 100th Birthday Patroni, St. Petersburg, 2007, Russian. Princess Vera Konstantinovna, Autobiography Articles, Kadetskaya Pereklivka, some Russian, number 3, New York, 1972, Russian. External links: in Russian. Oh god, that took 14 minutes.
Mm.